Hi, everyone. Tanya Hertz here. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about leadership in organizations, and particularly we're going to be looking at developing the skills to build effective teams. So I am going to share my screen with you, and we're going to look at the slides together for developing others. So this chapter is going to be concentrating on an assortment of skills that are related to the followers and the leader's relationship with the followers, setting goals, providing feedback, constructive feedback, team building, high-performing work teams. We'll look at the rocket model, delegating, and then we'll look finally at coaching, and start by talking about developing those goals. And the goals that we should develop should follow the SMART system, S-M-A-R-T. SMART goal setting is specific, observable, attainable, challenging, realistic, timely, and I apologize here. I should put the SMART goals here. So it's specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, realistic, and timely. And then there are some other things that are critically important: providing feedback, timely feedback, actual constructive criticism, and ensuring that there is commitment by the team members and by upper management. And developing good feedback skills is related to developing good communication skills, good listening skills, assertiveness skills. And to give good feedback, we know that the provider must be clear about the purpose, choose an appropriate context and medium, send proper nonverbal skills, and try to detect emotional signals and be assertive when providing those responses and feedback. And we can improve as leaders our feedback skills by being unemotional, dispassionate, and people appreciate when you're just direct, especially when you're talking about their behaviors, and identifying those specific behaviors that the person is exhibiting, whether they're positive or negative, and being very descriptive in the feedback without inferring things. So rather than talking about how, for example, if a person is exhibiting a particular behavior, we want to share that behavior and not say that there is, for example, something wrong with that person, or that the person any inference about the person themselves. The feedback should be timely. It's just like a hot stove. It should be immediate. It should be dispassionate. It should be unbiased. Like a hot stove burns everyone the same, so should your feedback or discipline. And we should always be very cognizant of praising in public and punishing or giving negative feedback in private. And when we're team building for our work teams, we should intervene at the team level, and that can help the team members understand why they struggle to achieve their objectives. But it's unlikely to actually remove the root causes of those team problems. And many organizations make a top-down effort to correct team building problems, and other organizations are committed to teamwork and they're willing to change the structures and systems, but are not committed to the bottom-up work that's really required. And team building does take a bottom-up approach in order to be effective. By that we mean you need to get to the root cause of the of team performance and team efficacy. And we have to go all the way to the individual level of what each person brings to the team, the individual characteristics of the team members, back to what we talked about in previous modules or chapters. And at each level, individual, interpersonal, the team level, and the organizational level, we do need to make sure that we are that we're overcoming any obstacles, and that we are we're making sure that we're addressing each of the root causes at that at the level before moving to the level above it. All right, moving on. So A successful intervention at the team level should raise awareness about how those teams actually work, use diagnostic instrument-based feedback so the team members can have maps of where they and their team members currently are and where they need to be, and provide a practice field for each intervention so the team members can test the behaviors prior to actually exhibiting the behaviors or doing the behaviors in the work environment. You should give them a sort of a trial run, a risk-free protected environment. And the rocket model is a good model of efficacy or team effectiveness. It's a prescriptive model for team building. It tells the leaders the steps that they need to take and where they need to take them and when they need to take them when they're building teams. It's also a diagnostic model, meaning that it diagnoses when there's problems, not just building teams, but finding out when things are wrong with teams. And it helps you to determine where existing teams are weak and what needs to be done to get them back on track. It looks something like this. And in the rocket model, it's essentially looking at the 8 components, what the situation is, the context, what the mission is, or what you're trying to accomplish, the talent of the team members, who's on the bus or the rocket, what are the rules or norms, the buy-ins, is everybody committed, are they buying into this, the team, is there adequate power for the rocket to propel? So do you have the resources you need? Is the team morale at a high enough level? Can we all just get along? And then results ultimately matters, right? We look at, are we winning? And this example here, I'm not going to go through the example itself, but this is essentially the results of a dysfunctional leadership team, and looking at each of the different parts. But there is an assignment that we can give for you to use the rocket model, and it's an effective model for, like I said, both for existing teams and for building new teams. So delegation is vitally important for effectiveness in organizations and teams. And I don't know if I said this before, but I don't think I did. 80% of all the work that's done in the United States today is done in teams, right? This is very different than it used to be. It used to be the other way around, where 20% of the work was done in teams and 80% was done individually. Teams are vitally important, and delegating is vitally important in order for teams to be effective. And delegating is giving responsibility to others, and it's not just giving tasks to a subordinate. It's giving excuse me. Delegation is about giving power, the power of decision making, to people who are most likely to be actually affected by the decision. It's a tough thing to do. It's more concerned with autonomy, responsibility, and follower development than with actual participation or task accomplishment. And research shows that leaders who delegate skillfully tend to have more satisfied and higher performing work teams and or committees or groups. And people like they like managers or leaders who delegate and delegate well. And delegate frees time for you. It allows you to do what you should be doing as a manager in an organization, instead of some of the maybe tasks that aren't associated with your highest level of performance, right? It helps develop our followers by giving them practical experience in a somewhat controlled fashion. And it strengthens the organization by telling others that we trust our employees, that we care about their development. It helps improve satisfaction. But a lot of people avoid delegation. They're scared of it. They think it takes too much time, and it does. Delegating tasks takes significantly more time than doing it yourself in the short term. In the long term, it works well. In the long term, it saves you a ton of time. Now, delegation is risky because you lose your control. And when you have employees who are not amazing or who don't have a high level of intelligence, you can't delegate. And in the beginning, it often takes so much extra time because you have to have your eyeballs on it anyways. So you delegate it to the employee. You take all the time of teaching them how to do it, showing them, overseeing them, answering the questions. And then you have to then look at their end results anyways before they actually ever do anything with it. And so it's tough. It's tough. Leaders might be a little bit reticent to delegate positions that are that give them power or are prestigious, but share that power, share the love in the organization, because your employees will appreciate it, and it does make you actually look better. And often I know I have a problem with this, feeling guilty because you're giving them so much to do already and they're exhausted. But again, you have to do this. This is how you develop the people below you. It's tough figuring out what to delegate. And there is, this is a principles of effective delegation model, deciding what and what to delegate, whom to delegate to, making sure that you're using, again, those SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable goals, making sure that you're assigning an objective, not a procedure, right? Giving them autonomy, not just delegating tasks, but delegating power and decision making. And give credit, but not blame, right? Give credit, but not blame. Once again, praise in public, and then and chastise or criticize in private. So coaching is a little bit different than training, a little bit different than delegation. And I should say this too. Coaching is more long-term, and even more long-term than coaching is development. But coaching is, it's the process of equipping people with the tools, knowledge, and opportunities that they need to develop themselves and become more successful. Good coaches orchestrate rather than dictate. They are really good at helping their followers to, to define and clarify and articulate their career goals. They are good at prioritizing and identifying development needs. They are good at creating and sticking to plans, and creating environments that support that learning, coaching, and development. And the forging process includes 5 steps of development. So forging the partnership that's built on trust. The second part is using gaps analysis. So you want to inspire the commitment. You conduct that gaps analysis, just like we did before. The gaps, finding that gap in the skill set, then growing those skills by coming up with a plan and sticking to that plan, helping them stick to it, promoting persistence, and then transferring the skills by creating a environment that fosters learning and development, and in a somewhat risk-free environment, where you encourage your subordinates and make them feel proud and valued. So this works really well. This model, this 5-step model, works well, again, for high performers, for high achievers, for high intelligence. It's really tough to delegate, to coach, and to develop when you have employees who aren't very smart, but people are smarter than you'd think. So it just often is giving them the chance and giving them the tools. Okay. All right, so here's a checklist for a development plan, and it looks very similar to some of the things that we've done, right, in our planning and development. So this checklist starts with the objectives, and starts particularly with these 1-year objectives, sets the criteria, the SMART goals, the criteria for success, the action steps, the feedback, support, some stretch assignments. Remember, 10% stretch assignments, the resources that are needed in order to achieve those goals, and then some feedback and reflexive periods. So this is a great model to use. It's been around for quite a long time. So coaching takes, it really doesn't take, it takes a little additional time. It's not a lot of extra time. Good coaches are versatile, and they're good at all the steps of coaching, and they're really good at helping the employees to identify where they need that development, where they need the skills training, and then helping them to implement it. Coaching is dynamic. Good coaches are good at assessing where the followers are in the coaching process, and they know where to intervene and when to intervene. And it's a fluid, dynamic, constantly evolving process. And good leaders are those who make good successors, and coaching might just be the best way to make this actually happen. So that's that there. And hoopla, my video's off. And yeah, this is a very important module. This is the meat and potatoes of actually, working with your teams and growing your organizations, or growing your companies if you're entrepreneurs. And yeah, so this is a fun stuff. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you all at the next module. Take care.